For some strange reason, Samsung disabled the best Galaxy S26 Ultra camera features right out of the box. So if you felt like your S26 Ultra cameras are broken, you're not crazy, and here's how to fix it. Let's start with some of the core settings before we get into the advanced features. So when you first open up the camera app, then go into video mode, you'll notice that your resolution is set to Full HD, which is only a quarter of the resolution of your 4K TV. So if you ever plan on watching your videos back on a TV, you'll definitely want to set this to UHD to match your TV's resolution. FPS is just your frames per second, and you can leave this set to 30 because that's a pretty common frames per second. I'd only set it to 60 frames per second if you're filming something that's moving really quickly. The next thing you want to do is make sure HDR is enabled. This stands for high dynamic range, and what it does is it increases the amount of detail you get in the really bright and dark areas of a video, and it actually does make a significant difference in the quality of your videos. If you're in photo mode and you've got the camera really close to something, you'll get this icon pop up right here called Focus Enhancer, and if you tap this, it'll automatically switch between the different cameras to maximize focus at that distance. And I highly recommend making sure this is enabled because it allows you to get much closer to an object while still keeping it in focus. The Focus Enhancer feature also exists in video mode, and definitely make sure you enable it there as well because, as you can see, it makes a huge difference in the quality of the focus. The next thing you want to do is tap this little icon in the top right corner. This is the motion photo icon, and you want to set this to automatic. What this will do is take a short video with every picture. Then after you take the picture, if you didn't quite capture the moment, you can actually adjust when the photo was taken and get a better photo. And setting it to automatic is better than setting it to always because if you have it always on and you take a picture of just a static image that isn't moving at all, you're kind of wasting space getting that extra video footage with the photos. If you have it set to auto, it's only going to add that video footage if it notices that the subject or the camera is moving when the photo is taken. The next thing we're going to do is enable a setting that gives us advice on how to frame our shots, basically where to aim the camera when taking pictures of different things. And that's this shot suggestions option here. What this will do is automatically analyze what's in the frame when you're taking a picture, and it'll put a little plus icon where you should be aiming your camera. All you have to do is align the center of the camera with that plus icon until it turns yellow, then you'll be lined up for a good shot. This isn't always accurate though, so if you want a more professional way to do this, go ahead and disable shot suggestions and scroll down until you get to composition guide and enable this instead. This will put a 3x3 grid on your screen, and you can use something called the rule of thirds to properly line up shots. As a general rule of thumb, you want the person's eyes lined up on the top horizontal line. And if you have the person and something else in the background, like maybe a landmark, you want the person lined up with either the left or right vertical line. Just make sure that if they're going to be offset on one side or the other, that they are facing either towards the camera or towards the center of the frame. If they're facing towards the outside of the frame, it's going to make for a weird looking shot, so don't do that. And if you want to learn more about how to line up your shots based on this grid, look up the rule of thirds online, and there's lots of great guides out there. The next thing we want to enable in the settings is just below the composition guide, and it is location tags. If you enable this, your camera is going to automatically see where you are geographically and add a location tag to your photos. This makes it a whole lot easier to find photos from specific trips you took later on. If you scroll down a little bit further and tap shooting methods, you'll see this floating shutter button option, and you'll definitely want to enable this. Once it's enabled, if I go back to the camera, you'll see this floating shutter button here, and I can move that anywhere I want on the screen. This makes it significantly easier to have a solid grip on the phone while still being able to take a picture without having to reach all the way in. This is especially useful if the claw grip isn't very comfortable to you. You can get a much stronger grip and take the picture like this. But the best part about this feature is that when you don't need this floating shutter button, you can just drag it back onto the regular shutter and it disappears. Whenever you want to get it back, you just drag straight up and it reappears. So definitely make sure this feature is enabled. The next thing we need to do is significantly improve the low light video quality. To do this, we're going to jump back into the camera settings. We're going to go to the video section and tap the auto FPS option. And we're going to enable this for 30 and 60 FPS videos. What this does is automatically reduce the frame rate of your videos in dark environments to get a much brighter video. This is extremely noticeable if you're filming 60 FPS video like in this sample, but you won't see too big of a difference with 30 FPS videos. By default, if you switch to a different camera mode, then close the application for a while so that it completely closes out of the background, then open the application again, it's going to take you back to photo mode. But if you want the camera to always open up in the last mode you had opened, you can actually do that by jumping in the settings, scrolling down, tapping settings to keep, and selecting camera mode. And this menu also lets you keep any of these other settings as well. So now if I go back, switch to video mode, then completely close out of the application and reopen it, I'll stay in video mode. If you've ever had friends over for a party and you were playing music from your phone on a Bluetooth speaker, but then you wanted to film something, you would have learned really quickly that that music's going to stop the moment you start filming the video. But you can fix this in the settings. Just tap audio options and enable audio playback. This will allow you to play music from your phone on a Bluetooth speaker and record a video at the same time. While we're here, I also want to point out another really important setting called 360 audio recording. This allows you to record audio at a significantly higher quality if you have something like Samsung's Galaxy Buds 4 Pro. If you have this feature enabled and the Buds 4 Pro connected to your phone, and you go back to video mode, you'll see this 360 audio icon appear at the top right corner. And if you enable this, you'll be able to record audio with the earbuds, and the difference in quality it's significant. Just to show you guys how good it is, put some headphones on and listen to this sample. The next few settings require you to download a specific application from the Samsung Galaxy Store, and that application is Camera Assistant. You may have already installed it, but even if you have, you still want to come back here and make sure you update it to the latest version. So once the latest version is installed, you're going to go back into your camera app, then your settings, and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see the Camera Assistant option here. If we tap this, we get some really advanced features. The first really useful feature on this page is called Timer Multi-Photo Options. What this does is anytime you set a timer on your camera, you can have it take 3, 5, or 7 pictures in a row with different intervals between each picture. This is extremely useful if you set your phone up on a tripod to get a group photo, and you don't want to keep running back and forth from the phone for each photo. And that's especially important because the S Pen no longer supports Bluetooth functionality, so you can't just use it as a shutter button like you used to. The next useful feature here is the 24 megapixel mode. What this does is allow you to take pictures at 24 megapixels instead of the default 12 megapixels or the large 50 or 200 megapixel photos. Simply put, you'll get higher quality photos in the default 12 megapixels without having to eat up all the storage space that the 50 and 200 megapixel modes take up. And if you always want to take 24 megapixel photos, just tap this option as well to keep it in 24 megapixel mode. Just remember to come back to the photo mode and tap the 12M option there and switch it to 24 megapixels. If you have a VR headset like Samsung's Galaxy XR headset, you can scroll down a bit and enable the 3D capture option. What this does is give you a 3D toggle at the top of both the photo and video mode, and it'll then use 2 of your cameras to take 3D pictures or videos. You can then watch those 3D videos back in your VR headset. And I have tested this with my Galaxy XR headset, and it's honestly pretty cool. If we jump back into the Camera Assistant menu, you'll see this additional modes section, and if you've been familiar with Samsung devices for a while, you'd know that they had a dedicated night mode that's no longer available on the S26 Ultra. And that's because they put the night mode features right into the regular photo mode. You can see this little moon icon right here, and if you tap this, you can switch to a longer night exposure, or just completely turn it off. And that's all the same functions that you had with the dedicated night mode anyway, so there's really no point to re-enable that mode. And if you don't see that night mode icon, it's because the scene is too bright, but once it gets dark enough, that icon will reappear. The single take and dual record modes can also be re-enabled from this menu, but that's a bit outside the scope of this video. These are more advanced features that not every person is going to be using. Something that's useful for everyone though is the customize indicators section. So if we tap this, you'll be able to customize which indicators appear at the top of your screen. So if you frequently use the timer, you can enable that. and you'll get a timer icon right there that's always quickly accessible. And you can also disable things that you never use. So if you never use the filters, you can just disable that and it'll be taken away. And you have a separate menu for the video indicators. If we switch to the front-facing camera, then tap the little settings icon here and scroll all the way to the right and tap this layer-looking icon, you can change your skin tone from natural to warm, and this will be useful if you notice that your selfies don't quite capture your skin tone accurately. You can further customize this by closing out of this menu and tapping the face icon, then tapping the middle icon. You can then increase or decrease the color tone by up to 4 steps. The next thing to do to maximize the functionality of your cameras is to actually put the camera app on your home screen, then long press it. This will give you 4 different shortcuts to jump into different modes, and if you long press one of the modes, you can drag that mode onto your home screen. Now if I tap that, it's going to take me directly into that mode. If you want to take this a bit further, you can pinch in to bring up your home screen editing menu, then tap Widgets, then scroll down a bit and tap Camera. Now just select whichever widget size you want and long press it and drag it onto your home screen wherever you'd like. Now when you tap that, you'll be able to get really specific with which camera mode you want to open. So if I tap starting mode here, I can select whether or not I want to use the rear or front facing camera, and I can also select which specific mode I want to jump directly into. So for example, I can pick panorama, and if I back out of here, I can choose whether or not to add a watermark to the photo. If you're a photographer, that may be useful for you. But I can then choose which specific album to save the video to. So if every time I'm using the panoramic camera, I'm using it to take nature photos, I can just call that folder nature. And now anytime I tap on this widget to take a photo, it's going to automatically save that into the nature album. But if I just open up the regular camera app, it's going to save it to my camera album. And if you really want to take these modes to the next level, you can create multiples that open different camera modes and save to different locations. Then just long press them and drag them on top of each other to create stacks. Then you can quickly swipe through the stack to find the mode you want, tap it, and it'll immediately take you into that mode. And by the way, it'll also show you which custom mode you're in the bottom left corner. Now there are dozens more incredibly powerful features with these cameras that I haven't even scratched the surface on. Even the gallery app is loaded with excellent features to take your pictures to the next level. But to put all of that in a single video and properly explain everything, that video would easily be over 2 hours long, and there's no way to retain all that information anyway. So a couple years ago, I started creating extraordinarily detailed S Ultra series camera guides with over 100 pages of tutorials, tips, tricks, and detailed feature explanations that can take literally anyone from knowing nothing about cameras at all to being pros with their phone cameras. It doesn't matter if the words ISO, f-stop, exposure, ND filtering, or rule of thirds mean anything to you. I explain it all in simple terms so you can consistently get excellent pictures that are properly framed, exposed, and focused. I even cover specialty topics like underwater videography, how to get the best photos of the stars, how to take full advantage of the AI editing tools that now come on Samsung's phones, and even the easiest ways to automatically organize your photos and videos in the gallery app. These guides take literally hundreds of hours to produce, and I guarantee there is nothing else like them on the internet. But don't just take my word for it. I encourage you to read through the dozens of 5-star reviews on the previous generations of the guide. And depending on when you see this video, the guide may not be ready yet, but you can sign up with the QR code on the screen or the link in the description and pinned comment to be notified the moment it launches. Signing up is also a great way to stay up to date on the latest guides, get notified the moment I find huge discounts on the latest Samsung products, and get early access to my honest thoughts on the latest tech. So after you've signed up, check out this video to see the best accessories for any Samsung phone. And consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss out on more deep dive tech reviews. That's it for this tech episode. Jesus loves you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.